Chosen one. This message didn't find you by chance. It was sent to you by divine timing. There are no accidents in the kingdom. You were guided here because your heart is ready, your spirit is aligned, and God is about to reveal something that will shift everything. All the pain, the delays, the closed doors, the nights you cried in silence, they weren't signs of failure. They were signs of formation. You weren't forgotten. You were being refined. God wasn't ignoring you. He was preparing you for something greater. And now, heaven is declaring, you're ready. This is the truth that brings peace to your confusion, strength to your weariness, and purpose to your past. It's not for everyone. It's for those who didn't give up, for those who stayed faithful even in the dark, for those who were chosen to carry truth, not just speak it. If your spirit feels this word, that's confirmation. You're not just hearing a message, you're stepping into alignment. Drop 77 if your heart bears witness. It's more than a number, it's a declaration. I'm ready. I'm awake. I'm walking in divine purpose. Stay until the end. With every listen, something deeper in you will rise. Let's begin. Chapter 1. You were never left behind. You were set apart. In a world driven by speed, noise, and constant visibility, your journey has looked different, slower, quieter, hidden. And in those quiet seasons, you may have wondered if you missed something, if you were falling behind. But you weren't. You were never left behind. You were set apart. While others sprinted ahead chasing recognition, building platforms, and collecting applause, God was calling you into stillness. He wasn't punishing you. He was preparing you. He hid you, not to hold you back, but to grow you deeper. You were being built in the dark, where real strength is forged, where roots grow strong enough to carry the weight of a divine calling. You weren't being delayed. You were being developed. You weren't overlooked. You were being overwatched by heaven. Because what you carry isn't ordinary. It's sacred. And sacred assignments require sacred preparation. God was refining your character, sharpening your discernment, and stripping away everything that couldn't go with you into your next season. You didn't miss your moment. It just wasn't time. Because when God launches you, it's not for applause, it's for impact. You won't just show up, you'll shift atmospheres. You won't need to prove yourself. Your presence will carry weight because it was forged in the secret place. So don't despise your hidden season. It was holy. God wasn't building popularity. He was building purpose. And now, when He says go, you'll go with power, not pretense. You'll walk in rooms with anointing, not ambition. Because you weren't left behind. You were set apart for such a time as this. Chapter 2. Your loneliness was God's sacred whisper. Chosen one, the loneliness you've experienced was never an empty void. It was God's gentle, divine language reaching deep into the very core of your soul. This wasn't the kind of loneliness that comes from just being alone for a moment. It was the deep, soul-shaking isolation that comes from being set apart in a noisy world that never quite understood you. You felt it in the silence when your phone stopped ringing, in the absence of the people you once called family, and in the fading friendships that left you questioning your worth. You noticed it in rooms where your presence was ignored, and in conversations where your spirit was too deep for others' shallow understanding. You poured yourself out for people who never fully saw the real you, only your potential. But hear this truth: that ache you felt wasn't emptiness. It was God clearing the space in your heart and life. The silence wasn't abandonment, it was divine alignment. God doesn't shout over the noise of the world. Instead, He waits patiently for the stillness so he can be heard clearly. When the noise around you quieted, heaven began to speak in ways only silence could reveal. In your loneliness, you didn't just hear God's voice. You felt his heartbeat. You started seeing signs and sensing shifts others overlooked. Your spiritual senses sharpened, making you alert to warnings and truths that remain hidden to many. That kind of insight isn't born in crowds. It is formed in caves, dark, silent places where transformation happens. Your isolation was a sacred recalibration, rewiring your spirit and preparing you for what lies ahead. You weren't losing connection, you were gaining communion. God's purpose wasn't to make you dependent on others for validation, but to teach you how to be held and sustained by Him alone. He was building within you a strength and identity that no worldly influence could corrupt. Your loneliness wasn't random or meaningless. It was revelation. In those quiet, solitary moments when you had no one to talk to but God, you discovered your true self. Not the version shaped by people's expectations or the world's standards, but the person heaven always knew you to be. That version of you, born in silence, sharpened in stillness, and matured in obscurity, is the one who will carry weight, authority, and divine anointing. God didn't isolate you to break you. He did so to build you without interference. So when you rise, you won't be swayed by applause or controlled by the fear of loneliness. You will walk into any room firmly rooted in God's presence, knowing solitude is not a curse, but a weapon. It is where you learn to hear what others cannot. It is where you mastered the sacred art of abiding in His presence. The world may never understand this journey, but you do now. Your loneliness was never a void. It was God's voice, His sacred whisper, and you have been listening all along. Chapter 3. You were chosen to break it. Chosen one, the battle you've been facing wasn't just about you. It ran deeper, through your bloodline, through unspoken pain, through generations of silence and struggle. The anxiety, fear, broken relationships, poverty, and hidden wounds weren't random. They were patterns, and God chose you to be the one to break them. You weren't just fighting for your own peace. You were standing in the gap for those who came before you and those who will come after. While others numbed the pain or passed it on, you said, "This ends with me." That's why the fight has been so intense. The enemy knew what was at stake, but what the enemy meant for harm, God is using for healing through you. You are not just enduring, you are transforming. With every prayer you whispered, every tear you cried, heaven was moving. You weren't alone. God was with you, strengthening you to carry what others couldn't. You are the breaker of chains, the restorer of legacy, the answer to prayers your ancestors didn't have the strength to pray. You're not just changing your story, you're changing the story of generations. Your courage is planting seeds of freedom. Your obedience is building a new foundation. And when future generations look back, they'll know someone stood strong so we could walk free. You are the shift. You are the sign that it's not just possible, it's already happening. And through Christ, the curse is broken. Chapter 4. The delay was divine protection. Chosen one, the waiting wasn't wasted. The delay wasn't denial. It was God's way of shielding you from what your eyes couldn't yet see. While you wondered why things weren't moving forward, heaven was holding back the tide to protect what's sacred within you. You asked God why the door didn't open, why the opportunity fell through, why the relationship didn't last. You cried over timelines, wrestled with comparison, questioned your purpose. But what you called delay God called mercy. What felt like rejection was actually redirection. He wasn't punishing you, He was preserving you. God knew the weight of what you were praying for. He knew that blessings come with pressure. That promotion attracts opposition. That influence exposes the soul. He didn't want to give you something too soon, only to watch it crush you. So He paused the promise until your roots were deep enough, your discernment sharp enough, and your spirit strong enough to stand in the blessing without falling. You see, when God hides you, it's not to hurt you, it's to heal you. He removes people who can't go with you, shuts doors that would have drained you, and keeps you in quiet places so your character can rise to match your calling. It's in that hidden season that your strength is refined, your vision is purified, and your trust in Him is made unshakable. You weren't being overlooked. You were being overhauled. Every not yet was a layer of divine protection. Every unanswered prayer was God's way of saying, "You're not ready yet, but you will be." And now, as you come out of the shadows, you do so not with desperation, but with depth. Not with fear, but with fire. You won't have to force what's next. It will meet you in perfect timing. Because when God releases what He has for you, it won't just bless you, it will last, and you'll know it was worth the wait. Chapter 5. Losing the world to embrace the kingdom. You began to realize you no longer fit the world's mold. The things that once excited you grew dull. The friendships and crowds that once welcomed you now left you feeling out of place. This wasn't a change born from bitterness, but from becoming who God created you to be. The world offers fleeting applause, but God calls you to a deeper purpose, a kingdom purpose. You were never meant to settle for comfort or popularity. You were designed to stand apart, to shine in the darkness, and to carry a light that disrupts the status quo. Yes, the cost was high. You lost friends, opportunities, and parts of yourself that relied on approval. But in that loss, you gained what truly matters: clarity of identity, vision for your future, and the undeniable presence of God within you. The world chases success. The kingdom pursues surrender. The world shouts to be seen. The kingdom walks in stillness. The world builds platforms. The kingdom raises warriors. You didn't lose your life. You found it in the wilderness of waiting, in the silence of surrender, and in the solitude of seeking God. This was never about fitting in. It was always about breaking through. Your fruit will speak louder than words, and your life will glow with the evidence of God's transformation. You were set apart to carry the kingdom, not to be shaped by the world. Walk boldly, for the old has passed away, and a new, divinely appointed future awaits you. Chapter 6. Your discernment is a divine gift. Chosen one, your spirit picks up what others miss, and that's not something to hide or doubt. It's not anxiety, it's not overthinking, it's discernment. A holy gift from God that allows you to sense what eyes can't see, to feel what words never say, and to know when something is off, even if everything looks right on the surface. You've walked into rooms and felt heaviness before a word was spoken. You've met people who seemed kind, but your spirit felt uneasy. That wasn't paranoia, it was protection. God has trained your spirit to perceive what others overlook. Because of what you carry, He can't afford for you to walk blindly. You've been given spiritual sight for spiritual battles. This gift has made you feel misunderstood. At times, you've been labeled too sensitive or too deep. But the truth is, you were never meant to be surface level. While others settle for what's visible, you're tuned to the unseen. You weren't made to blend in. You were chosen to discern, to lead, to guard what is sacred. And yes, it's exhausting at times. Crowds drain you. Small talk feels pointless. Pretending feels painful. That's because your spirit is wired for truth, alignment, and presence. God didn't give you this discernment to isolate you, but to prepare you, guide you, and protect you. It's not a burden, it's a blessing, and it comes with purpose. You've avoided battles others walked into. You've walked away from people you couldn't explain, but your spirit knew. That's discernment. It's how God whispered, "Not this, not them, not now." And you listened, even when you didn't understand. That obedience has preserved your peace and protected your purpose. So now, walk in confidence. You no longer need to explain what your spirit knows. You don't need approval to honor your anointing. You don't need to doubt what God shows you in the quiet. You see clearly because He speaks to you clearly. You are not crazy. You are not cold. You are not too much. You are spiritually awake. And that is your edge. That is your armor. And that is your divine assignment. Chapter 7. The Rise and the Reckoning. This moment is more than just a rise. It's a sacred reckoning. You're not simply being elevated, you're being entrusted with a divine assignment. God has chosen you, not because you were the loudest, the fastest, or the most visible, but because your heart was refined through fire, your spirit tested by trials, and your character shaped in places unseen. For a long time, you asked, "Why is this taking so long?" You felt forgotten, overlooked, and unheard. But now you see that it wasn't delay or rejection, it was preparation. Every season of silence, every period of isolation, every challenge you endured was God's way of building a solid foundation beneath your feet. This foundation is strong enough to carry the weight of your destiny. The road you walk is not for the faint-hearted. The calling on your life demands courage, perseverance, and unwavering faith. This is the reckoning, the moment when every battle you fought, every lie you overcame, every fear you conquered, comes face to face with your breakthrough. You were never meant to live ordinary or comfortable. You were created for extraordinary impact. Your calling pushes you beyond the crowd, beyond the comfort zone, into the fire where true refinement happens. The storms you faced weren't to break you, but to strengthen you. The brokenness you experienced was not the end, but the beginning of your true purpose. Now, God is positioning you to step into the fullness of your calling. This is not about fame or followers, it's about legacy and life change. You are called to heal the brokenhearted, to speak truth into darkness, and to be a beacon of hope in a world desperate for light. With this rise comes responsibility. Your life is now a testimony of God's faithfulness. Your voice will bring freedom to the captive. Your hands will extend grace and healing where others can't reach. Your presence will bring peace and restoration. Remember, you were saved not just for yourself, but to be a vessel for God's kingdom. You were restored not merely for comfort, but to rebuild what was broken in others. Your pain, your perseverance, and your faith have paved the way for a generation that will follow your footsteps. This is your time. The season of testing has ended, and the time to lead with authority and compassion is now. Don't hold back your voice or hide your light. Step forward boldly, knowing you have been prepared, equipped, and chosen for this moment. This is your rise. This is your reckoning. Walk into it with confidence, faith, and the peace that comes from knowing God's hand is upon you. Through you, lives will be changed, legacies will be built, and God's kingdom will advance.